Okay, so I've been putting this off for days. I don't even know why. I've just been tired and busy, and yeah, but it's given me time to think about like what to do if you want to start beekeeping. And the first thing I would say is if you want honey and that's why you want to start beekeeping, it's probably not a good reason to start beekeeping. And I hate saying that. I hate being the Debbie Downer, but if you don't have a strong curiosity for bees or a strong desire to be a good beekeeper and take good care of bees, it's gonna fizzle out very quickly because here in New Mexico, unless you have like 20 to 50 hives near somewhere that has consistent water flow, or it's in an urban area where people are consistently watering their gardens, you're not going to get a huge honey harvest. So, but you will get some. Even backyard beekeepers, you'll get, a little bit of a harvest here and there. So, it's not like this hopeless thing, but yeah, stay curious, love bees, don't do it for the honey. What else? So, and another kind of first piece of advice would be get in a hive with someone first before you jump into it. Like if there's someone in your area that you can beekeep with before you get a hive, that's ideal. Sorry, my computer is doing all kinds of weird stuff. But, yeah, you want to know like what it looks like to handle bees and to be in a hive. And so if you can be in a hive, do that before you get your own. But even better would be to get a mentor nearby, someone who you can ask questions of and who can work with you or could even come out to your hives when you're having problems. Yeah, I would strongly recommend a local mentor. And another thing is, if you just have one colony in your backyard or on your farm, it's really difficult because it's nice to be able to share resources among different hives. So if one hive is struggling, either with honey or brood, you can pull it from another hive and add it to that hive that's struggling. And so I would recommend, if you're going to get into bees, to have 2 to 3 hives starting out. And that might sound a little crazy because you might just want to start with one, but being able to share resources among the same hive types in your apiary is super helpful. And which brings up another point. Really do a lot of research on hive types before you buy. Do you want a hive that's easy to handle and not heavy? If so, I would go with the top bar hive. If you're okay with lifting some heavy things, a Langstroth may be fine. I like both. I honestly don't have a preference. And when I'm talking about either, people will say, oh, you like top bars better, you like Langstroth better, but I really don't have a preference. I like both for different reasons. But that's another topic. But Langstroth hives, the boxes do get heavy. A medium Langstroth hive box full of honey will weigh 45 to 50 pounds. And that's on the smaller end of these hive box sizes. A deep full of honey, I should look this up. I should have before I did this video, but I want to say it's like close to 80 pounds when it's full of honey. So you don't want to use that as a honey super if you're of my stature. And so really do some research on Langstroth hives and top bar hives and which one you would prefer. Yeah, and definitely use a hive type that's common in your area because you can share resources with other beekeepers, and when you ask questions, people will know what you're talking about. And so it's fun to use different hive types, but I think when you're starting out, use something that's standardized so that when you ask questions, it's clear and you get clear answers and you can look up things easily regarding that hive type. So, yeah, I strongly advise mentorship and research before you get bees. And get involved, get involved with your local bee clubs, or state organizations. The New Mexico State Beekeepers Association has an awesome certified beekeepers program. It's a 2-year program that I did. I kind of dabbled in bees a little bit before with someone in town. She was my mentor. And then I did the certification program, and it was amazing and needed. And I got to get a lot of experience and knowledge in a shorter amount of time because I was in a lot of hives. Yeah, when you're just working on your own hive, or 3 to 5 hives in your apiary, and that's it from year to year, you don't learn as much as you do when you're beekeeping with a bunch of other beekeepers and learning from them and seeing other colonies. And so just being able to dive into other beekeepers' apiaries helps so much. And so I'd strongly advise, if you can, to do the certification program. They're trying to extend it so that it's more statewide. So just keep an eye on that. And yeah, and definitely get connected to beekeepers locally. And then there's some books I love. Excuse me. So there's The Hive and the Honeybee by the man Langstroth himself. Yeah, so he designed the Langstroth hive. I think he was a reverend, and Daydant publishes this book. And so it just has basic knowledge, really great basic knowledge of beekeeping. And what else? So I love this book. It's a great book to read when you're getting started. And then another one, if you're doing top bar beekeeping, especially Les Crowder's book, Organic Top Bar Beekeeping, or something like that. You'll find it. Look up Les Crowder and top bar and it'll show up. It's a great book. Even if you're not planning on going all organic, it outlines the expansion and contraction of a hive throughout a season very well. I love his explanation. He has really great pictures of how a hive expands and contracts throughout a year. And then swarming, oh my gosh, one of my favorite books ever, Honeybee Democracy by Tom Seeley. Hives naturally reproduce through swarming. So it's a huge thing with beekeeping. You have to know when your hive is going to swarm, but just the wonder and excitement and curiosity of us beekeepers, man, this book just really feeds that, and I love it, and it's probably always going to be one of my favorites. And so I would highly recommend it, maybe after you've read The Hive and the Honeybee and Les Crowder's Top Bar beekeeping book. What else? Bee Time by Mark Winston is another favorite. But yeah, getting started, find people in your area that beekeep. If you can, find a group. Even better, if you can do the certification program, read a lot of books. What else? I didn't even talk about where to get your bees. So when you're starting off, that can be one of the hardest things. So local bees are the best bees that are acclimated to your area. So if you can get a swarm or take a split from a beekeeper in your area, where you split the hive and you take half the bees and they leave half at their place, that's ideal. If you have to, you can order packages. But those bees are usually pretty stressed out, and the queens are not always accepted. But it works. I started off that way. My bees did die. They didn't overwinter, but I also wasn't testing for mites then. And so, yeah. But the best stock of bees would be swarms or a split from a local beekeeper. So, yeah. And then I was also thinking while I was talking, if you can join beekeeping groups online, that can be really helpful. In Albuquerque, we have abqbeaks.org to post questions, to connect with other beekeepers. And even if you're not in the Albuquerque area, you could join that group online. But Women in Beekeeping on Facebook is another good one. The New Mexico Beekeepers Association has a Facebook and Instagram page. I'm sure there's tons of other beekeeping groups, but just get connected, because the more you know you don't know when you're beekeeping. And the questions are endless and exciting, and talking to other people about beekeeping is just the best thing ever. It's a great way to learn and connect with people. So, what else? There are definitely some local, queen breeders I would recommend, like Melanie Kirby of Zia Queen Bees has packages in great queens. John Gagne in Santa Fe has great queens and nukes. You know what? Melanie might have nukes, not packages. A nuke has frames of bees. It's like a mini hive, whereas a package is just like a box of bees that aren't in a hive yet. So, but yeah, as you learn and read about that, you'll know what I'm talking about. Other local people, those are bees that are bred locally, so, which is great. But Craig Norlander of Papa Bear's Honey also brings in some great stock, some hygienic bees that can resist varroa. You're going to want to learn a lot about varroa and mite testing eventually. Wow, this video is already 12 minutes long. So, yeah, that's why I didn't just text or email you guys about starting off beekeeping. It's a lot at first, and I have to say, I'm honestly glad I saw someone in town and bee kept with them for about a year before I got my own bees. It's definitely not necessary, but it was nice. And I think having people I could talk to was a must. And so, yeah, and getting local bees is the best, but also if you can find bees that are resistant to varroa, like the Saskatraz or Minnesota Hygienic, Carniolan has done really well in Santa Fe. That's great too. So, yeah, and I would just say don't stop being fascinated by bees. Yeah, there's a lot of people that get into beekeeping and it fizzles out after 2 to 3 years because they lose bees from mites, or they realize, oh, I'm not getting a lot of honey, what's the point? Because they weren't in it for the bees anyways. But yeah, and just talking about that, what was I gonna say? It's late. It's probably almost 10. But, yeah. So, I think if you have any fear of beekeeping, maybe that's what I was thinking of. If you have any fear of bees and handling bees and them crawling on your hands and stuff, really tapping into that curiosity you have about them helps, and just looking at one single bee and being amazed by it, that helps. And so it can be kind of like a meditative experience. You really just kind of zone out and you're in bee land for a while. I love beekeeping. Oh, that's what I was thinking of. So if you get into beekeeping to save the bees, you're not helping save the bees. If all you want to do is help save the bees, I would just recommend planting a pollinator garden. Do research on what plants bees love and plant for the bees. You'll see bees. They'll be around, but if you want to help save the bees, becoming a beekeeper isn't going to help, especially if you don't do it properly. So, yeah, if beekeeping is a huge investment in time and money and just mental energy and like learning at first. And so I don't want to dissuade anyone that's really excited about beekeeping and interested in bees, but I do want to make sure people know that just what they're getting into. And as far as protective gear, I just thought about that too. There's seriously so much with getting started. With protective gear, I started with like a jacket and veil, which was nice because I was I'm not gonna lie, I was super intimidated by the bees at first and scared. And that gave me more protection. I got gloves, goatskin gloves. So that was nice. But as you get more comfortable with the bees and you know your bees well and you know they're calm, I just wear a helmet with a square veil, and I put my gloves in my back pocket so that if I get stung multiple times on my hand, I can put my gloves on and protect my hands better. But yeah, starting off, it's kind of nice to have long sleeves and make sure you're covered. You can even get a full suit if you feel more comfortable. And I would highly recommend, don't try to just be brave and go in there, because you're going to be scared and the bees can sense that. And if you feel more at ease and comfortable with a full suit, wear it. Who cares? Like, you know, we're not trying to impress anyone. We're just trying to be safe and not smush bees and not make them defensive while we're in the hive. So Man Lake has some good suits, good protective gear. Even Amazon. I try not to buy from Amazon too much, but I won't get into that. I still do. But Brushy Mountain was my favorite, but they went out of business. So Man Lake's kind of my go-to, and Daydant is good as well. There's catalogs. Gosh, what else? Yeah. And then there's Hive Placement. Where should I put my hive? What do I need to have a hive? But I'm almost at 20 minutes. So I think that would probably be another video. And you can probably research, like, you know, where good hive placement and such. But yeah, get tapped into local groups, local beekeepers. Read a lot. Stay curious. Don't be in it for the honey. Yeah. Bye, guys.